Good morning. So we are going to start with the element approach of the stiffness method. In the previous video, we have seen what is stiffness influence coefficient, and based on the principles of stiffness influence coefficient, how to arrive at the stiffness matrix for structures, and that is called the physical approach or the structure approach. And when the number of degrees of freedom becomes very large, the physical approach is not easy. Hence, for large degree of freedom structures, will go for element approach. In the element approach, there are two different ways. One is called the semi-automatic approach, called the compatibility method, and the fully automatic approach or the direct stiffness method. So the basic principle in element approach is a structure. Just let us consider a continuous beam like this. It is assumed to be consisting of number of elements. So this is element 1, element 2, element 3. A structure is assumed to be an assembly of elements, and elements are connected at the nodes. Each element have two nodes. Say element 1, this is element 2 and element 3. Each element have two nodes and the connectivity is at the node. So for the first element, this is a node 1, node 2. For the second element, node 3, node 4, node 5, node 6. So the 2 and 3 nodes are actually the single node of the structure. So the 2 and 3 are connected, 4 and 5 are connected. So the element approach, each element will be having two nodes and the elements are connected at the nodes. Then, considering the forces, even if we have forces in the members or in the elements like this or forces like this, all the forces in the elements, they have to be transferred to the nodes. The loads act only at the nodes, and similarly the displacements. Displacement is a general term. It can be a vertical displacement, a horizontal displacement, or a rotation. Three displacements per node actually: a vertical displacement, horizontal displacement, and rotation. All the displacements are considered only at the nodes. So this is the basic principle of matrix method or element approach. The structure is an assembly of several elements put together. All the elements are having connectivity at the nodes. The displacements as well as forces in the elements are converted to be acting in the nodes. And so if we have the element stiffness matrix, if we know the stiffness matrix for an element, say this is an element, say having the rotational degrees of freedom at the two ends, coordinate 1 and 2. If we can formulate the stiffness matrix for one element by simply changing the length and moment of inertia of the various elements, we can formulate the stiffness matrix for the n number of elements, and then they are properly assembled together according to certain rules. So that we will get the stiffness matrix for the structure. Otherwise, it will be very difficult. If it is a 100-degree freedom system, if we apply unit displacement at one coordinate and find out what are the forces developed in the 99 coordinates, it is not an easy task. So the element approach will formulate the element stiffness matrix for the elements, and that will be utilized for the entire elements of the structure by varying the area, moment of inertia and length, and then they will be properly assembled together. So generally we can classify the structure assembly of two sets of elements. One set of elements, they are called beam elements. Beam elements, they are subjected to flexion or bending, where the bending is the predominant force, we call it as beam element. And the second class of elements are truss elements or bar elements. So generally beam element and bar element. So main truss is composed to assembly of several bar elements put together. In bar elements there will be only axial force. In trusses there will be only axial forces, no bending moment or shear force. In beam element, predominant forces, bending moment and shear force. Axial force in beams is usually neglected. So our next aim is to formulate the element stiffness matrix for beam element and truss element and keep it as a formula. So when we do the numerical example, we simply apply the moment of inertia, area and length of the member in that formulas and then do the numerical examples. So next task is to develop the element stiffness matrix for a beam element. Okay, now I am going to formulate the stiffness matrix for a beam element. As a first case, I am considering a beam element with two nodes. I am considering the rotations only, the rotational coordinates 1 and 2. The slope at node 1 is 1. The slope at node 2 is marked as coordinate 2. This we have already seen based on the stiffness influence coefficient principle. How to develop the stiffness matrix? This is a two coordinates are there. So the stiffness matrix, the element stiffness matrix, we use small letter k with a suffix e. This will be having 2 by 2 matrix. The first one will be K11, K21, K12, K22. We have to arrive at the 4 influence coefficient values. For that, the basic principle is you first apply D1 equals 1. Apply unit rotation in the first coordinate direction. Apply unit rotation in the first coordinate direction. Arrest the other displacement so that the beam is applying clockwise rotation. So it comes down. So this is the slope. This is equal to 1. When we give unit rotation here, what is the moment developed here? The moment developed here is, we have seen earlier, it is 4 EI by L. And the moment developed at the far ends, this is the near end. At the point where the rotation is applied, when we have to rotate this, we have to apply some moment in order to rotate it. Or due to this rotation, the force induced at this point or at node 1 is 4 EI by L. And at the far end, half it carried on. So the moment at the far end is 2A by L. So by the definition, K11, moment induced at coordinate direction 1 due to unit rotation at 1 is 4A by L. And K21, moment induced in direction 2 due to unit rotation at 1, that is 2EI by L. So we have got the first column vector of the element stiffness matrix. Similarly, to form the second column, you apply D2 equal to 1. That is, you give unit rotation in the second coordinate direction, D2 equal to 1. In this, from here it goes up and arrest the other end so that the deflection is like this. So you are giving unit value here. Here you are giving unit rotation. So the moment developed at this near end is 4EI by L and the moment developed at the far end is 2EI by L. So what is this? The moment developed at coordinate 1 due to unit rotation at 2, K12. Moment at 1 due to unit rotation at 2, that is 2EI by L. And this is K22. Moment at coordinate 2 due to unit rotation at 2 is 4EI by L. Hence, I can write the element stiffness matrix KE as EI by L. I will take it outside the matrix 4, 2, 2, 4. So this is an expression for the element stiffness matrix for a beam element where there are only rotational degrees of freedom. This we have to always remember while doing the numerical examples. So it's a very symmetric matrix, EI by L into 4 to 2, 4. Now in beams, in addition to the rotation at the nodes, there can be vertical settlement or vertical deflection. For that case, we have to consider the rotation plus vertical displacement coordinates. So next I will discuss the element stiffness matrix when there is rotation plus vertical displacement. And now we are going to develop the element stiffness matrix for the most general case, a beam element with 2 degrees of freedom per node. The vertical displacement is 1. The rotation is 2. This is at node 1. For node 1, 1, 2. Similarly, for the node 2, 3 the vertical displacement and 4 the rotation. Axial displacement is neglected in beam. So this is the most general case of a beam element. Now let us see how to develop the stiffness matrix for this element coordinates. This we have already done in the definition of stiffness influence coefficient. Anyway, I will explain it once again. How to develop? First of all, we apply unit displacement in coordinate direction 1. Unit vertical displacement in coordinate direction 1. d1 equals 1. And at that time, you arrest all other displacements. That means when you apply d1 equals 1, d2 should be 0. So there's a slope here, it is 0. d3 should be 0, d4 should be 0. So it is a fixed end slope and deflection will be 0. What are the forces developed? When we give unit vertical displacement in this direction, the structure which was originally like this, it has gone up. So my pen goes in the anti-clockwise direction, or the bending moment developed here is 6 Ei delta by L square. Either use this rule, point your pen, this is the original direction of the beam, it has lifted up. So anti-clockwise moment 6 Ei delta by L square, since delta is equal to 1, 6 Ei by L square. The same anti-clockwise moment is produced at the other end also. Similar to sinking of supports. If the right support sinks down, we have seen earlier, anti-clockwise moment, or vice versa. If the left support sinks up with respect to the right, it is also anti-clockwise moment. So there is an unbalance. 6 plus 6, 12 Ei by L square is an unbalanced moment. To counteract it, we have to produce clockwise couple, left up and right down. This will produce a clockwise couple. The numerical value is 6 plus 6, 12 Ei by L square divided by the span, 12 Ei by L cube, 12 Ei by L cube. So by giving unit displacement in the vertical direction, these are the forces developed in the 4 coordinate directions. So let us write K11, force developed in direction 1. This is direction 1. Forces 12 Ei by L cube. So K11 is 12 Ei by L cube. K21, force developed in direction 2. Direction 2 is the moment. The moment developed here is 6 Ei by L square numerically. Direction 2 is clockwise, but the moment developed is anti-clockwise, hence it is minus. K31, force developed in direction 3. Direction 3 is vertical direction. The force is 12 Ei by L cube. It is opposite to 3, so minus 12 Ei by L cube. Force in direction 4. Direction 4 is moment. So minus 6 Ei by L square, anti-clockwise. These are the influence coefficients. Next, I am going to apply d2 is equal to 1. Now let us see these values we have got. That will be the first column. So I will write here this 12 Ei by L cube. 12 by L cube. Ei, I will take it as common factor outside. The second one, K21, minus 6 by L square. This is minus 6 by L square. The third value, minus 12 by L cube. I have written here, minus 12 by L cube. Minus 6 by L square. Minus 6 by L square. So these first column is obtained by applying d1 equal to 1. Similarly, consider d2 equals 1. d2 equals 1 means you apply unit rotation. Apply unit rotation in the first node. So the moment developed here is 4 Ei by L. The moment developed at the far end is 2 Ei by L. And since 4 plus 2, 6 Ei by L is the clockwise moment. To counteract it, there should be an anti-clockwise couple. So anti-clockwise, left down and right up. The magnitude will be 6 Ei by L square each. So the second column, I will write it. K12, force developed in direction 1. Direction 1 is this one. It is 6 Ei by L square. Since it is downward, that is opposite to direction 1, minus 6 Ei by L square. K22, force in direction 2 is 4 Ei by L. Force in direction 3. Direction 3 is this vertical direction, 6 Ei by L square. And force in direction 4, due to unit displacement in 2, force in direction 4 is 2 Ei by L. So that should be the second column. Minus 6 by L square, 4 by L, 6 by L square, 2 by L. So this column is obtained by applying D2 is equal to 1. Next, we apply D3 is equal to 1. Give unit displacement in the vertical direction at node 2. So this was the original position of this beam element. Due to this vertical, it is gone up. So my thumb goes in clockwise direction, the pen goes in clockwise direction. So the moment developed is 60 A by L square clockwise. The same moment clockwise is developed here also. So 6 plus 6, 12 A by L square is the unbalanced the moment. So an anti-clockwise couple, left down, right up. So K13, I can write force in direction 1 due to unit displacement in direction 3 is force in direction 1 is 12 A by L cube. It is downward. So minus 12 A by L cube. Force in direction 2, this is direction 2. It is minus 6 A by, it is clockwise moment, so plus 6 A by L square. Force in direction 3 is this, it is 12 A by L cube. Force in direction 3 is 12 A by L cube, direction 4 it is 6 A by L square clockwise. So here the values are minus 12 A by L cube plus 6 A by L square plus 12 A by L cube plus 6 A by L square. So this should be the third column. So the third column minus 12 by L cube, 6 by L square, 12 by L cube and 6 by L square. So this is the column formed by obtained by applying D3 equal to 1. Next you give D4 equal to 1. By giving D4 is equal to 1, fix the other range. The moment here is 4A by L, the moment here is 2A by L, totally clockwise 6A by L. So anti-clockwise couple, left down and right up. These are the forces developed. I can write K14, one direction, minus 6A by L square. Two direction, 2A by L. Three direction, 6A by L square. And four direction, 4A by L. So that will form the last column when D4 is equal to 1. Refer to that. Minus 6 by L square, 2 by L, 6 by L square and 4 by L. So this is the element stiffness matrix for a beam element with coordinates 1, 2, 3, 4. Always remember 1 vertical and 2 rotation. If you change the directions, if you put this as 1 and this as 2, the entire thing will get shuffled. So an easy way to remember this is you just remember these four terms. 12 by L cube, 6 by L square, 6 by L square, 4 by L. This repeats here. 12 by L cube, 6 by L square, 6 by L square, 4 by L. In this place, it is 12 by L cube, 6 by L square, 6 by L square, 2 by L. And that is repeated here. 12 by L cube, 6 by L square, 6 by L square, 2 by L. First of all, you write all the terms positive. And in the first row, the diagonal elements will never be negative. All the diagonal elements will be positive. That is the property of the stiffness matrix. The first three terms in the first row as well as the three terms in the first column are negative. So it is, even if you don't remember to derive these expressions, we can easily write down while solving the numerical examples the stiffness matrix for a beam element with this coordinates is just by calculating these four terms for a particular L, we can get the stiffness matrix for the first element. If there are 100 elements, by simply writing a program, we can simply change the L values of the different elements. We can arrive at the stiffness matrix for the n number of elements, and they have to be properly assembled together. That is the advantage of the element approach. So you have to by heart two formulas. If there is only rotation, it is EI by L into 4224, and if it is 2 degrees of freedom per node, 12 by L cube, 6 by L square, 6 by L square, 4 by L. Then complete it. It's a 4 by 4 matrix. So diagonal elements are positive. They are comparatively larger when compared to the off diagonal terms. It is perfectly symmetric. You can check. It's a perfectly symmetric matrix. Okay, next we have to introduce the concept of equivalent joint load vector. We have derived the element stiffness matrix. That is the first step. Second step is the concept of equivalent joint load vector. As I have mentioned, in the element approach, all the loads acting on the elements must be converted to the corresponding values or the equivalent values acting at the nodes. So let us see what is the equivalent joint load vector. When we do numerical example, we can directly use it. The equivalent joint load vector P is equal to P0 minus PF. In that, this P0 is if there are any loads acting in the nodes. If suppose in this question, this load 3 kN is acting on the element. This 10 kN is also acting on the element BC. But if there is any load acting in this node, like this, some bending moment, external moment, that will be considered in the P0 vector. Normally for beams, the P0 vector is 0. But whereas for trusses, all the loads act at the nodes only. So there will be P0 vector only. There will not be any fixed end moment for trusses. Now let us see the case of a continuous beam example. What is the equivalent joint load vector? So equivalent joint load vector is the loads which are acting in the elements, they must be transferred to the nodes so that the total displacement of the structure, what is the displacement of the structure, the slopes and deflections at various points, that will be the same as the original beam when we transfer these loads into the corresponding nodes. The first step is consider this beam. I am having loads 3 kN per meter UDL for the first 4 meter span and a central point load of 10 kN. We fix it. Consider AB as a fixed beam so that we can calculate what are the fixed end moments. Fixed end moment due to uniformly distributed load is WL square by 12. Substituting WL square, we will get this 4 kN meter. Anti-clockwise, and here it is clockwise. Fixed end moment due to point load acting at the center is WL by 8. Calculating, we will get it as 5 kN meter. Here also 5 kN meter, clockwise and anti-clockwise and clockwise respectively. Now the reaction due to this 3 kN per meter, 3 into 4, total load is 12. So the reaction at this support is 6 kN. The reaction here is also 6 kN. It's a symmetric load 10. So each of these reactions are 5. So now we have got the fixed end moments and reactions. Now let us consider the original structure. Original structure is fixed at A and hinge at B and C. Now this fixed end moment 4 kN meter acting here is anti-clockwise. We apply just the reverse of it. Apply it clockwise 4 kN meter. This reaction 6 is acting upwards. You apply it downwards. 6 kN apply downwards. In this joint, take the algebraic sum. 4 is clockwise, 5 is anti-clockwise. So the net moment at that point is 1 kN meter anti-clockwise. So you apply 1 kN meter clockwise. Just reverse it. Here 6 plus 5, 11 kN is acting upwards. You apply 11 kN downwards. Here 5 kN meter is clockwise moment. So you apply anti-clockwise moment 5 kN meter. And the vertical load acting here is 5 kN upwards. You apply 5 kN downwards. So just reverse the fixed end moments and reactions. This is called the equivalent joint load. So this beam ABC having these loads is replaced as a beam ABC with a moment 4 kN meter and 6 kN acting at A, 11 kN acting downwards and 1 kN meter acting at B, and instead of this it's 5 kN downwards and 5 kN meter anti-clockwise at C. So what the deflections and slopes, if you compute at different points of this beam, that will be the same as the slope and deflection of this beam at various points along its length. So this is the concept of equivalent joint load. When we calculate it numerically, we just write P0 minus PF. See, here P0 is 0 in this particular question. So minus PF. So what we have done here also, fixed end moments and reactions, we have just reversed it. Negative of the fixed end moments and reactions is called the equivalent join loop. Thank you. The next session we will do numerical examples of a structure analysis by element approach or stiffness method. Thank you.